Hey guys, this is Juan with the Cine-Men Movie Podcast, letting you know that this episode is brought to you by San Marcos Mexican Restaurants, located right here in Oklahoma City at 2301 Southwest 59th Street in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Check them out. Give them a call for a to-go order at 405-685-7773, or go in there and dine in to one of the best Mexican restaurants in the metro. Let them know that the Cine-Men Movie Podcast sent you. Again, go in, the best sit-down experience in the OKC metro, great food, and even better customer service. And let them know that the Cine-Men Movie Podcast sent you for 10% off your entire order. San Marcos, the only dine-in restaurant of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do! You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
There's no crying in baseball!
This is wrong, bitch.
Hey, the Schwartz be with you!
I am your father.
Get you, my pretty!
Take your stinking paws off me.
May the force be with you.
Here's Johnny.
What up, film fans? Happy Monday, moviegoers. Welcome to episode 336. Welcome to the best of 2024. You're listening to a brand new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I am your host, Juan, and I am joined by the cast, the crew, the other hosts. Zach?
Hey, I'm excited. How about you guys?
I'm excited. Jay, what's up?
I'm very much excited, but if I sound under the weather, it's because I've been stuffed up the past week, and I sound like I'm underwater half the time. So,
man, it has been a rough week. Whether it's COVID, the flu, a sinus infection, it doesn't matter what's going on or what went around. I feel like we've all gotten it, and we do this show like we're not in the same room anymore. We're all remote, so this is
we're COVID free, Society 3.
COVID free, yeah. But this is one of our biggest episodes, guys. So thank you for everybody joining us. We will get into a bunch of stuff today. Well, we have a lot of stuff to go over, some awards to hand out, some of our favorites of 2024, whether our opinion matters to you or not, our top 5 movies of 2024, a top 10 list, essentially. Everybody who emailed, tweeted, messaged, I have all your top movies or your favorite movies of 2024, so thank you for that. Again, if you guys are watching us live on Facebook or Emisawa Productions YouTube channel, thank you very much. This is going to be a fun episode. Zach, this is our 6th annual Best of show. It's hard to believe we've done it that many years in a row.
You guys are sick my first.
I know and I feel like every year it gets better and better because I think like the more as film fans we watch these films, it's just like, oh yeah, I can't wait to talk about that at the end of the year or put that in our top 10. Or on the opposite side of the spectrum, and the worst of the year, and we can just dog it for about 30 minutes.
Yeah, and that's what we did last week. If you guys did not check us out last week, we had a very fun conversation. We talked to Nick and Nick. We also talked about Wicked, and we reviewed and discussed our top 5 worst of 2024 in last week's episode. So go back and listen to that wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find our link to any of our episodes on social media. right down below. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook Live, if you're listening out there in podcast land, it's facebook.com/the Cinnamon Movie Podcast, Instagram/the Cinnamon Movie Podcast. You can email us at cinemen921@gmail.com, or the X is at cinnamon405. And I got to throw some love out there on X because you guys have been blowing me up for the last 7 days.
That's what we like to hear.
I just want to let everybody know I have over 169 messages just on X alone of people tweeting, or I don't know what's it called now, tweeting, Xing, messaging their favorite movie
We're getting
of
triple X.
2024.
Nobody knows.
Hey, it could be anything now. It's.
But I want to say I appreciate that.
Well,
and
we will be answering some of those today, won't we?
We will. Yeah, we will answer some of those. I don't know if we won't reach all 169, but we'll definitely reach some of them in the next 2 weeks. But we'll read a majority of them today. So before we get started, let's start off right off the bat. Recent watches or recommendations. Zach, do you have any that you want to recommend? Anybody, maybe?
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I went down like a Saturday Night Live like rabbit hole.
Nice.
Last night was they did like a special damn near 3.5 hour retrospective of Saturday Night Live. It was so good. You can watch it now on Peacock. They also have a couple other things. One is like Ladies and Gentlemen, Live from New York, and it's all the different musical numbers that made like a huge impact on the show. And another one is SNL 50 Beyond Saturday Night Live. It has like 4 episodes. One is about the audition process, and they have like different cast members talk about it. Number 2 is the cowbell sketch, all about the cowbell sketch. Another one is about the writer's room, how they come up with the different sketches and what's going to be in and out of the show. And the last episode is about when Lauren Malcolm stepped away and he came back for season 11 and how kind of like revamp the show and what it is today. I'm like halfway through episode 1, but if you're an SNL fan, we talked about the Saturday Night movie last week as one of your recent watches, Johnny. And
did you go back and watch that?
Not yet. I might do a rewatch.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, I watched it, and yeah, it was magical. I thought it was very magical.
The only thing I've seen was the Adam Sandler song, which, of course, I went out of my way for that. So.
Oh, of course.
The Hanukkah or the Thanksgiving song.
And it was honestly really cool that he got introduced by
Jack Nicholson. Yeah. Rare public appearance. But yeah, if you're interested in Saturday Night Live, there's a ton of stuff on Peacock. And I'm going to also recommend there's a new, I think I've mentioned it on the show before, The Pit, or like 7 episodes on Max. It's so freaking good. I think it's one of my favorite shows of the early 2025. Is one of my favorite. It's a weekly show, and go check that out if you haven't got a chance to do that.
After last week's episode, I just started binging some stuff and watching whatever I could because I did have the flu and I was completely out for a few days. So I rewatched 25th Hour, Spike Lee movie. Highly recommend. Falling Down, first time watch, really good. In the Name of the Father, Daniel Day-Lewis. Good movie, but I don't think I'd ever watch it again. Great performance by him, though. On the Waterfront. And in the next 2 weeks, you guys are going to be noticing I'm watching a bunch of movies that should have won Oscars, but did not. Getting ready for a certain episode that we're having in just a few weeks. Terrifier 3, Superman, the first one from 1978. And then I'm going through my James Bond binge, even though some of them are terrible. From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, and then On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
You've been getting shit online though from some of our fans because you've been saying that some of them are boring.
Some of the star ratings I'm giving them, like, I think the best one I've seen so far is Goldfinger, and I think I gave that one a 3. Everything else I've given like a 2. Today, On Your Majesty's Secret Service, I gave that a 1. It's 2 hours and 25 minutes. It's just slow. It's boring. George Lansby is James Bond in this movie.
His one and only.
Yeah, his one and only, and deserved as well too. So
Yeah.
But I think it's going to start to pick up because I'm entering the 70s. The next one I think is Diamonds Are Forever. So I
Roger
think,
Moore.
yeah. Well, no, that one is it.
I
Diamonds-
know you're getting. I know in the '70s you get into the Roger Moore era, and then you go to the Timothy Dalton, then Pierce Brosnan.
I am
That's when
missing.
shit really picks up.
I am missing 3 James Bond movies.
Oh no, Diamonds Forever. You're going back to Connery. That's
Yeah.
his. Yep.
But that's when he came back.
Yeah. So I know for sure I'm missing Never Say Never Again, A View to Kill, and License to Kill.
Those two, the last two, are supposed to be really good.
So those are the 3 I'm missing.
Dalton. Those are Daltons.
Yeah, but after next is Diamonds Forever, and then Live and Let Die, and then The Man with the Golden Gun. So I think I'm getting into some good ones.
You sound like you're about to be getting into some better ones.
And then I do want to recommend The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
Oh yeah.
Very, very good Western movie. And then I was a little disappointed, but it still wasn't bad. Queen of the Damned, first time watch.
I told you it was not very good.
So, but if I had to recommend anything,
they take the first two, but they take both of the books and they mash them together, which kills them.
yeah, if I had to recommend anything, On the Waterfront, Marlon Brando, always terrific. Superman is on Max, and then the Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Jay, what about you?
I've been going through franchises here lately. If you haven't been listening, if you've been listening to know that I've been going through different franchises, and I'll take your suggestions on franchises. Just go back and listen to some of the franchises I've already talked about. Right now, I just finished up the Caesar trilogy of the Planet of the Apes, and then I watched Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That one wasn't so difficult the second time around. I didn't mind it too much because the first time around I was like, who are these new apes? I just couldn't wrap my head around it. The character design was a little flawed for me, so I just couldn't get into that. But the second time around I was able to find what I was actually looking for, and it was a lot more enjoyable. But the Caesar franchise, highly, highly, highly recommend that. That's
excellent.
Yes, Rise, Dawn, and War. That's the Caesar trilogy there. But I had done all the previous Planet of the Apes before this, and I even done the Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. That wasn't too bad. The effects in that were really, really good. I thought the makeup was phenomenal in that movie. And then right now I have one more left to go. And whenever I go back and do a franchise view, I like to watch the special features on the disc that come with it. So if there's 3 hours of special features on that disc, I have 3 hours of special features to watch. Whether it's behind the scenes, whether it's before and after with ILM. Right now I'm doing the Jurassic Park trilogy, and then I'm going to the Jurassic World. And I only have Extinction left to go.
Dominion.
I would have went with Extinction better, but Dominion, yeah. Dominion, Fallen Kingdom wasn't that bad. The rest of the 4, I grew up with them, so there's nothing I could say bad about them. But other than that, that's what I've been catching up on. I've talked to Juan. I think my next franchise is either Superman, where I'll go through everything Superman all the way up to Man of Steel and stop at maybe Man of Steel. I don't know. I might watch Batman and Superman, or start with the Saw franchise.
You should do Saw.
I should do Saw. Since there's 11 of them.
Saw should be the one.
Okay, well, it sounds like Saw it is then. So I've already been. The next franchise I'm diving into after the Jurassic World series is Saw. I don't know. Now you guys got to tell me: do I watch them in timeline order or release order?
Release order.
Release order.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up.
Yep.
Okay.
Saw 10. Saw 11 is supposed to come out later this year, so it's perfect timing.
See, yeah. So I have 11 more movies to get into. You want to play a game?
Speaking of playing, Jay, there's some movies that made some money last year. Let's talk about the 5 most and highest grossing movies of 2024, starting off with 5.
Since today is all nothing but 2024 movies and everything like that, we have at number 5. This is worldwide gross. This means what they made in America and all over the world as well. This is just not the North American accumulation. We have at number 5, Wicked with $725 million worldwide. That's a very, for it being a Broadway franchise, it's a musical. Those are some killer numbers. I can only see those numbers being $1 billion or more for the sequel when it comes out in November. We have a franchise that always makes money, and I'm just like, how the hell does it continue to make money? But Despicable Me 4 at $969.1 million. That's at number 4. Number 3 is Moana at 1 billion even. It has a little bit, of hangover there, but it's at 1 billion even right now. Then at 1.3 billion is one of the funniest movies of the year, and we'll talk about that when we get in our reviews and everything later on. It's Deadpool and Wolverine. That movie made a buku of money. Like I said, $1.3 billion at the domestic the global box office for a rated R movie.
What's number 1?
$1.7 million is what this movie made. It made $4 million more, or $400 million more. Inside Out 2.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Moana didn't get close, but it reached $1 billion, which I think we all said it would.
The whole thing about that is that Moana just came out in November, and it's already made $1 million. But Inside Out 2 came out, what was it, June or July? So it's had time to make that money. And if Moana continues the trend that it's going on, it's going to be well past the 1.7 billion mark.
Kids movies, man. So
that's the 2024 year in the box office. That's the top 5 movies of the year there.
You probably didn't see this, Jay, but like, you realize Despicable Me, just the whole franchise, all the movies that are in it, that franchise is worth $1 billion. That's how much money that franchise has made at the box office.
I thought it made more than that.
$5 billion.
Okay, you said $5 billion. Yeah, that's how much it's worth. It's $5 billion. I've only seen part 3.
We probably could have stopped after 2. I'm not just saying.
I've only seen 1 and 2. I still need to watch 3, Minions 1 and 2, and then 4. I have 4. I've just never sat down and seen it. So the kids are obsessed with them, though. So I guess that's all that matters. But man, let's dig into. Let's just cut right open. Why keep anybody wait? Let's talk our top 5 plus 5 movies, and let's dig into our honorable mentions, and then we'll go from 10 through 7. We'll just go in order of the screen. So if you're watching us on YouTube, I'll start. Zach will go second, and Jay, you'll go third. So we can just stay in order, and we won't lose any kind of.
So honorable mentions through 6, right?
Yeah. So I won't lose any head count. So I'm gonna go through honorable. I'm gonna go through honorable mentions just real quick. If you guys want, they are in order too. So if that helps any, Furiosa, The Apprentice, Wicked, Joker 2, A Different Man, and Heretic. Those are my honorable mentions.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Starting off strong. All right.
Let's go, Zach.
All right. So my honorable mentions are going to be, and kind of like you, if this was a continuation of the top 10, it'd be like 15, up to 15.
Yeah.
So The Wild Robot, The Brutalist, Juror number 2. This one almost made it. Like with the last one, it kicked it out. Number 11, number 12 it would be. Abigail. Really, really enjoyed Abigail.
I forgot about that movie.
And I thought you were about to grab a pen. It's like, oh, hold on. Gotta make an edit real quick.
No more edits. No more edits.
Gonna edit this shit down a little bit more. Hold on.
In my official honorable mention, the only reason this is honorable mention is because I really don't know how many times I'd rewatch it. But we base this list on rewatchability, and
Yes.
My official honorable mention is Superman, the Christopher Reeve story.
Nice. Yeah. So if I had, that's good. Mine was Heretic. So Jay, any honorable mentions?
I have 3 of them.
Go.
Fall Guy. It don't matter which version you go with. I enjoyed that movie. I remember the show a little bit as a kid, but seeing the movie with Ryan Gosling here, and it was very good. I don't know how much of a stunts they did, but whatever they did worked magic on me. I was entertained and involved in that movie for the 2.5 hours it was on. the Beatles Let It Be, the documentary that Peter Jackson did for Disney Plus. I have that in my honorable mentions because it's not one of those ones that I could just sit there and rewatch over and over again, but it is one of those ones that for scientific and historic lessons that you can sit there and just watch because you get to sit there and watch Paul and John just sit there and like play with the guitar a little bit, and then boom, they write a song. They're just like do 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 do, and then next thing you know, there's Let It Be. It's like holy shit, how the hell that happened? You know that's it's amazing there. And then I have Star Trek Unification. I don't know if anybody has seen that. It's a fan film that Shatner took a part of, where Spock passes away and Captain Kirk is there sitting next to Spock on his deathbed, and they both say goodbye together. So as Spock dies, Kirk and him say goodbye. So it's a very good. It's only 7 minutes long, so it's one of those. Hey, Lincoln will miss some movies, but it is a movie nonetheless. 7 minutes or not. Those are. I didn't give you a complete 15, but I gave you 3.
That's
Fair.
good. Let's get into
Ready?
our 10 through 6. Number 10 for me, and I always said these movies to me, number 10. So just so you guys know, 10.
10.
10.
These movies to me were always good horror movies, but I was like, I appreciated the gruesomeness, the practical effects, but I was like, man, there's just no story that kind of gravitates me to the first few. And then with this one, I'm like, if they can just get a decent story down, dude, it's going to be one of the best horror movies of all time. It's going to be one of the best horror movies of the year. And I'm starting number 10 off with Terrifier 3.
Oh.
Well, looky there.
Because of how this movie it gravitates you as a horror fan. Like I said, the practical effects wasn't an overusage of blood and gore and guts, probably, but I mean, Art the
Aren't those
Clown.
movies that push the limit a little bit? Aren't those what those
They pushed. Yeah, I mean that's fine. Did Freddy push the limit in the 80s? Did Michael push the limit? I mean, if they had the budget like some of these movies do, then they probably would have had a little bit more gore too. But that's what I appreciate about the Terrifier franchise and 3 in general is because they push the envelope, and still a movie that is not given a big budget, but yet it is one of the most self-made franchises in horror history right now because how much people go and see that movie. So
what would you probably put about $5 million into the franchise right now? 5, maybe 10 million into the franchise, and we have 3, almost 4 Terrifier movies.
No, I mean, I think each movie was a $1 million budget. So, and I think I know the last Terrifier made like $7 million.
Yeah, it did pretty well. It opened up number 1 when it came out.
Yeah. So a movie that's only got a $1 million budget hits $7 million at the box office. But all that aside, it doesn't matter how much money it made. To me, it's just a really good horror movie. And I really had to shed some limelight in this best of last year.
How much did you say?
I think did it make a 7?
Well, the budget was $2 million. It made $90 million at the box office.
90?
So it did pretty good.
It did pretty good, my ass. It did fucking great. It did great.
So
it did really, really well. It multiplied it by what, 100?
Pretty much.
So yeah.
Wow.
But, like I said, some of this stuff may not be for you, the gore. But when they finally got a story wrapped around it, Art the Clown, I think he's up there with some of your other horror icons.
I have never seen any of the movies, but I know who Art the Clown is.
Yeah, so go check them out. If I had to recommend them, they're all 3 on Peacock, I believe, or Amazon Prime. Terrifier 3 is number 10. Zach?
My number 10, I'm going to stay in the horror genre as well. Jesus. Terrifier 3 outdid the Wild Robot. That's hysterical. So number 10 for me, I'm going to stay in the horror genre. I truly think that if I got a chance to rewatch this, it'd probably be higher up on my list, but it's all right. I'm pretty good where it's at. Number 10 is going to be Nosferatu. It's Blu-ray tomorrow for the extended cut, and I think it's going to be on Peacock this Friday. So,
See, that's what I'm waiting on is the extended cut. I don't know if I should wait for it or just watch the regular theatrical cut.
I'm excited to see what other stuff Robert Eggers left out of the movie. I think this is a phenomenal, not only homage but a remake to the original 1922 Nosferatu. You have arguably two of the best performances of the year with Bill Skarsgård and Lily Rose Depp. Cinematography, the horror aspect. It's definitely if you've ever seen Robert Eggers' other films like The Lighthouse and The Witch and even Northman, it fits right in there with his filmography. It's also just a great throwback to Gothic horror, which we haven't had in quite some time. Like I said, it could probably be up, maybe even my top 5 if I got a chance to rewatch it. But as of right now, it's number 10 is Nosferatu.
Jay, number 10.
I feel like the odd man out here. You both went horror. I went completely on the other end of the spectrum and went with comedy. And I wouldn't even call it comedy either. I would call it high tension comedy. And I chose Saturday Night, believe it or not, as number 10. I know that's a recent watch for me, but after watching it, I agree with what you had to say about it, Johnny, is that the anxiety and the anticipation, just everything leading up to that 90, it's an hour and 48 minutes long, but it's that 90-minute structure that you're waiting on. You get time updates and everything like that. It's like, hey, there's only 60 minutes left to showtime there. And it is a great, great, great little comedy movie and a historical reenactment as far as I'm concerned, like that, because I went there watching special features, and each of the people that were cast as these different characters, they tried to find the actual, like, even though they might have had like 2 or 3 minutes of screen time, they still try to find that essence of the character they were playing. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that. Jason Reitman and his writer went on set. They went around to Lorne Michaels. They asked everybody they could, tell us some stories that happened on the opening night of Saturday Night Live. Please tell us anything that happened. And like I just enjoyed the franticness of everything, and just on the balls. Just how nobody knew what this thing was going to be until it aired.
Yeah.
At least that's what I walked away from it with. That nobody knew what this thing was going to be until it happened. And so you just had to let it happen for it to happen.
And the fact that it's still around 50 years later, I mean, it's kind of it crazy, really.
I was a 90s kid. I was one of those ones that grew up during the eras of Adam Sandler, Dana Carvey, Mike Myers, I already said Adam Sandler, but Will Ferrell,
Chris Farley.
Chris Farley. One of my favorite sketches is this sketch with Chris Farley and Patrick Swayze trying out for Chippendale. That's one of my favorite sketches, but they're not sketches. That's right. They're not sketches. If we watch the movie, they're not sketches.
Yeah.
But
that's my number 10. Yeah, that's a good 10. We've all got a pretty good head start so far, so I'm excited. Number 9 for me. And while you guys are watching this live, we're on Facebook Live and Emaswap Productions YouTube channel. Send in some comments. We're going to be reading emails and tweets a little bit later on. So send us in some comments. Let us know. You don't have to give us a top 5. Just send a favorite movie from last year. Number 9 for me is Love Lies Bleeding. We had an entire episode on it.
I wasn't a part of that one.
It's on HBO Max if anybody wants to check it out. I think Dave Franco had a phenomenal performance, even though he was only in it for just a little bit. Kristen Stewart, I think she's done it way years and years ago, but this is on HBO Max now, so you guys can go check it out for yourselves. She's stepped out of the Bella Twilight franchise. That was her years ago. There's a movie out there called Spencer, if you guys want to see how really good of an actress she is. But she did phenomenal in Love Lies Bleeding. Also the girl that played Daisy did really, really well in it. So Ed Harris is also in it, and he was phenomenal. It was directed by Rose Glass, so she was really in line of one of my favorite directors from last year. But this is an A24 movie that's creeping up on my list, and it reached number 9. So, like I said, we had a whole episode on it. I think I gave it a 5. Go back, check it out, or just go watch it. It's on Max. So that's not my number 9 is Love Lies Bleeding. So echo. Zach, what's your number 9?
Um, overall, I think A24 had a really good year, and the fact that they might actually have another Best Picture winner here in a couple weeks, back to back, that just shows you how big that that film studio's got. My number 9, I'll just go ahead. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because we did a 2.5-hour episode on it last week. Number 9 is Wicked. Go listen and hear our thoughts on it.
Yeah, got nothing a little bit extra to add.
Yeah. And if you guys do want to stop us and ask us why or any questions about Jay, I didn't hear you. What did you say about Love Lies Bleeding? Did you have any questions?
I was just mentioning one of the actresses from it. You mentioned one of the actresses. I guess you can't go wrong with her.
And Zach, you number 9 is Wicked for you, or Wicked is number 9. Jay, what about you with number 9?
This person will later on come up. The person that stars in this movie will later on come up in my number 1 and in another category of best actress or my favorite actress of the year. And it's one of those ones where I thought, Johnny was going when he started with the Terrifier 3. He's sitting there talking about storylines matching up, timelines and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, shit, he's about to, announce that Alien Romulus is on his list at number 10. But no, it was Terrifier 3. But I've announced it at number 9 on my list, Alien Romulus. I'm a big fan of the Alien movies. I went about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I went back and watched everything from Alien all the way to Alien vs. Predator. I didn't watch part 2 of Alien vs. Predator. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't handle it. But I did everything else. And Alien Romulus just feels like an alien movie. And Kaylee Spena, what's her name? Kaylee Spena?
Spaney.
There we go. Katie Spena. She's cute as could be. She is like adorable as hell. Because I remember her from Priscilla. And what made me really like her was that, holy shit, she played Priscilla all gracefully and just completely with, I don't know, it was just with this powerful display, even though she was so small in stature. And then she comes into the Alien franchise and she's this new Ripley character. And I completely buy it. I'm sold. I don't need to be given any more information. I'm completely sold on her being the badass of the new franchise.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another movie that she was in this year, Civil War.
Yep.
Where even that movie, it's like, what the hell? She just blends into everything. That's what I'm saying. She just blends into everything.
Ed's not here to defend himself, but I think he really hated her in that movie.
I didn't like her.
He hates everything that's good. It's okay.
Well, my number 9 is Alien Romulus, mainly because of Kaylee Spaney, and because they actually had a story worth telling finally.
It's a good Alien movie. To me, I'd put it up.
Because I gave it a high ranking.
Yeah, so did I. Good number 9s too.
Oh man,
Yeah.
what a roll!
Number 8 for me. This might stop the roll depending on who how you guys take this, but number 8 for me is The Substance. Again, this could have been higher or lower. I did not get to rewatch it. I watched it a few weeks ago. I really wanted to watch it before tonight. But the thing that I just appreciate about this movie is how it feels like a David Cronenberg movie. It feels like there's a little bit of David Lynch mixed in there, and the ending is just like a glass to the wall, what the heck just happened kind of ending. Feels like a very David Lynchy Eraserhead ending. So I appreciate all the callbacks to the past. But this movie is wild. And I do see why Demi Moore is getting nominated. I personally wouldn't give her the win, but the movie is crazy out there. And Dennis Quaid, he was one of the main actors that kind of turned me off at first about the movie. I was like, Dennis Quaid, this isn't a Tremors direct-to-video movie. But and I ended up digging him in the movie. He ended up being one of my favorite parts of the movie. Um, so yeah, I believe it's streaming on Mubi. I don't know what Mubi even is. It's a Mubi exclusive, but I guess it got so much hype it got to theaters, and then it had a massive Blu-ray release. Um, like I said, if you're not a fan of David Lynch, David Cronenberg, it just feels very fly to me. Zach, have you seen it yet?
Not yet, but everything I've heard about is like if you don't like body horror, do not watch it.
Yeah, this is what it reminds me of. It reminds
What
me of The Flies.
Which
Right.
one,
That's what it
what's your
reminds me
number
of.
8? I'm sorry, I stepped away for a second. I
Number
had to
number
step
eight.
on the blow nose.
Number 8 is The Substance.
Oh, I had trouble with that movie, bro. I'm not
So
even gonna play.
what? I'll repeat myself, but I was telling everybody how it reminded me. And if you don't like David Lynch or David Cronenberg gross body horror, then you're not gonna like The Substance. And the ending is just so Eraserhead slash A24ish. Like
I was
it's
just
just
left with
thrown
that
out
ending.
there.
I was left with the ending like, what the fuck is going on? Like seriously, that's what I thought. Like there's a certain scene in that movie that happens where it takes the body horror one step further, where she's this gorgeous creature into this abomination of,
But that's
humanity,
that's
and then
that,
it cuts to the audience, just that blood everywhere. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Dude, it threw
yeah.
me for a loop. It really did.
That's kind of the whole point of it, and I kind of feel like
I'm not
even
saying it's bad. I'm just saying it just threw me for a loop.
even the whole twist of the end is kind of like that's David Cronenberg right there. If you've seen the Shivers, have you seen Shivers, Zach?
Mm-mm.
Kind of stuff like that. But I mean, it was good enough for me. I again, if I had seen it again and I loved it just as much on a second or third watch, it probably would have gotten higher. But right now, it sits at number 8 for me. Zach, number 8 for you.
All right, so good number 8. I gotta say, I'd like to watch that before the Oscars here in a couple weeks. So, my number 8 is gonna be a little film. I don't know if any of you guys saw this. We did do an episode on it back in the summertime. It's one of the highest grossing movies of the year. Number 8, Deadpool and Wolverine. This movie should not have worked, truth be known. I mean, the fact that we got Deadpool and Wolverine in the MCU for an R-rated version of these two characters.
Raunchy and raw.
Yeah, like it is a true Deadpool movie, and the fact that Kevin Feige said, "Yeah, let's go. We're gonna do this right," and
They had Disney and Peggy jokes in the movie.
yeah, I mean, the fact that you said there's literally a self-referencing joke of like cocaine is the one thing Feige said no to. I mean, that's how
No force bump. No force bump.
Yeah, I mean, it's so self-aware. I think it was so cool to see Hugh Jackman back as this character that I think all of us grew up with, but also he is the Wolverine. And
I don't know. Henry Cavill gave him a run for his money.
I'm not gonna lie. If they do that, I would not be mad. I seriously wouldn't. If this is gonna be the last, I doubt this will be the last time we see Deadpool.
He's
but
doing it till he's 90. That wasn't even a separate. That was an actual truth.
probably.
It is. They got his ass till he's 90 now.
But like I said, this movie shouldn't have worked, and the fact that it was as funny as the first Deadpool and the action's great, and the fact that we really paid tribute to the 20th Century Fox X-Men movies throughout this film, I thought was a really well done, kind of like a last goodbye to that franchise, that part of superhero film history. Because they did a good job with it, and we talked about it in the episode. This film and the MCU would not exist without those X-Men movies. So I'm glad.
I legit marked out whenever because whenever I see Chris Evans, I was like, oh shit, he's gonna be Captain America in this movie. He's gonna say, and like I'm playing into Ryan Reynolds' lines, he's gonna say Avengers Assemble, and then he says Flame On. I'm like, hold on a minute, he's playing Johnny Storm. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm down with that. Okay, let's do this.
So yeah, I mean, overall, it's a great film, and
I didn't get to be a part of that episode. Sorry if I mark out a little bit more than I need to.
No, and Marvel needed this. I think we can all agree.
After seeing Captain America, they still need it.
Well, I'm seeing Brave New World this weekend, but don't give away your thoughts. But yeah, number 8 for me is Deadpool and Wolverine.
Jay, number 8.
This was a generation's Superman. This was a generation's Man of Steel. This was, a quintessential on-screen character come to life. And my number 8 for the following year is Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. I pretty much knew his story because I was a Superman fan. I knew that he fell off a horse and broke his back, and he went to paralyzed. I don't find people might give me shit about this, but I don't find it the irony missed that the Man of Steel got his back broken by a horse. I don't miss that irony at all, and I don't think Christopher Reeves did either. I think and that's what makes this movie beautiful is that they had so much footage of Christopher Reeve before, during, and after the accident that they were able to make a comprehensive documentary out of this for about 2 hours, and they were able to give you the history of, here is a guy that played the Man of Steel, and then here's a guy who was crippled from the neck down because of a horse riding accident, and here's how he became a bigger Man of Steel and a bigger Superman because of the hurdle that were put in front of him in real life that he was able to jump over. And then his wife passed away. I'm not trying to give away spoilers, but everybody should know this is real life. This is a documentary we're talking about here. His wife passes away, not even 2 years after he passes away. Cancer. It's a heartbreaking tale. It's a beautifully told story. It's told in sections, and once you see those sections and how it's set up, it plays beautifully. But number 8 for me is the Superman Christopher Reeve story,
And it's on Max.
Yeah,
and it's the first DCEU movie that James Gunn produced, and I think he's off to a good start with that one.
Oh, I didn't know he produced that.
Yeah, he helped. Yeah, that was one of the ones that he gave the okay
to. Number 7. We're going to continue to be sad because number 7 for me is We Live in Time, the movie about cancer and starring Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh, which these two simply just knocked it out of the park as far as performances go. This is my version of A Marriage Story this year, even though it's a completely different subject. But the way they feed off of each other, acting-wise, their chemistry back and forth, I will never, ever in my life crack an egg the same way again. And this movie is, like Zach said a few weeks ago when I mentioned it on Recent Watches, they take cancer and they completely just turn it into an ironic love story. And
it
shows
give that a watch because I grew up with a brother that had cancer, so I think something like that would help. And it
just shows everything, how she takes it. And my bad, I think that's a spoiler because it's not till like 20, 30 minutes of the movie that you find out it's her that has cancer.
I figured it would probably be her.
I think it's in the trailer, actually.
Is it?
I think so.
I went into this blind, no trailer, no nothing, and like it kind of the movie teases that it might be Garfield because remember they met with him in the hospital.
Yeah, that's true.
And the thing I love about all these movies that I talk about with when it's A25 or A24 is
how dare you?
Sacrilege!
Finally, these movies are at the tip of a fingertip now because used to I would have to
go out of your way.
Yeah, but now they're all on Max and everybody can just finally get in the same boat I am finally, even though I know most of the listeners or most of you guys won't do it, but they're all on Max at the tip of your fingertips, and this movie is just a gut punch. And the performances are just out of this world. Andrew Garfield, Florence Pugh light it up. Again, I've only got to see this in We Live in Time.
I've actually heard of this movie, but I don't want to state why I've heard of this movie.
So yeah, it's super good, and like I said, it probably would have been a little bit higher, but I only got to see it the one time, so I don't know if that hour and 50 minutes would drag the second or third time. But We Live in Time is my number 7. Zach?
Couldn't have said better myself. Number 7 is We Live in Time as well. Yeah. I I'm gonna go reverse on you, man. Like I kind of thought it dragged the first time, and the second time I thought it did a lot better.
Okay, well,
Um,
that's good news for me then.
to me, I agree with you, man. The fact that this didn't get any recognition, I mean, Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh have perfect chemistry in this. I mean, it's so out of the park. And being a cancer survivor myself, it's so refreshing to see the cancer story done in a different light. Something that, something new, something that is not stereotypical. And I think I that's why I loved it the most.
Dude, did she have back-to-back years and back-to-back movies where she kind of didn't get any recognition? Last year,
She's had that in the past 3 or 4 years, actually, since the beginning of like Midsummer.
But I'm just saying, like last year, she had a movie with Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, a good person. Yeah,
yeah, and it just completely went unnoticed.
Yeah, well, and the fact that she was in this, and she was also in one of the other bigger movies of the year, Dune Part 2. I mean, I thought she had a pretty good year myself. But I don't want to give it away too much. I mean, we'll probably talk about it during A24 month, probably later this year. It's a phenomenal film, and I think it deserves a lot more credit than it got. Like I said, like you said, Johnny, go max it up and go watch We Live in Time. My number 7.
Jay, number 7.
This is where my list starts to deviate a little bit. It starts to go towards things that I find that captures my attention, that I can sit down and watch for hours on end and just sit down and just chill and watch. And I didn't have a better movie experience in 2015 than when I went to the Ward with my buddy Sam Stackhouse, and we seen Mad Max Fury Road. But then I seen Furiosa, and I was like, holy shit, this is an amazing franchise. I completely enjoyed the hell out of Furiosa. I've only seen it twice now. I probably need to see it for a third or fourth time just to, And here's the thing about the Mad Max franchise. I haven't seen part 2 or 3. I haven't seen part 2 or 3 of the Mad Max franchise. I've only seen Mad Max, Fury Road, and Furiosa. And I am perfectly content with those 3 movies being my Mad Max experience. I really am, because Furiosa was beautifully shot. The car stunts were beautiful. And more Joe being brought back, everything was just there. I enjoyed, and Chris Hemsworth was hilarious in that movie. I don't care what anybody said there said. Hemsworth was the shit in that movie.
Furiosa, to me, I saw that back in the theater when it came out that summer and last summer, and I don't know, like I really liked it, but the farther I got away, I haven't rewatched it since then, but the farther I get away from it, I'm just like, it's not that I like sour on it, but it's just like, yeah, it exists. I just don't have the desire to rewatch.
I think you should revisit it just one more time, just to experience Chris Hemsworth and what's her name? Come on, I just blanked on her.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
There we go. I just blanked on her name, but yeah, Princess Toasted.
Oh, it's on Netflix too. So okay.
See, and that's where it should be on Max as well.
It is too.
But that's my number 7. That's my number 7. I enjoyed the hell out of that. That's why, like I said, my list starts to deviate from here into places that rewatchability, just things being brought up from my past, just a lot of weird things, that make a top 10 list, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Number 6 for me, I won't spend too much time on it. If you guys have questions, we can, because we just talked about it a few weeks ago. But entering the number 6 and doing the 10 through 6 is going to be Nosferatu. Highly enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to like it because of maybe the length did kind of scare me. And I was like, and I heard it was like an exact scene by scene remake. And I know that kind of scared some people, but at the end of the day, why take chances and make a story your own when the original is just as good? He would have been criticized for it too then. But number 6 for me is Nosferatu.
Especially 102 years old, though, right?
Yeah, everything Zach said. Mrs. Depp in that movie. Sorry, I kind of froze up for a minute. Bill Skarsgård in that movie kind of just
How was Nicholas
nailed it.
Holt?
Nicholas Holt was good.
Nicholas Holt was good.
Willem Dafoe is Willem Dafoe, and he brought his magic to the screen too. But if you do not enjoy The Witch, if you don't enjoy any of those Robert Eggers movies, I don't think you'll enjoy this one. But Peacock it up this Friday.
Peacock!
I think it's going to be a fantastic release for Peacock, and I think it's going to be an extraordinary release. Both versions, I believe, will be on Peacock as well.
I want to watch the extended cut just because it seems like it's the place to be.
Yeah.
For some reason, I think that's where he wants people to look. Because
And it's kind of cool. I'm glad Peacock.
You guys
is like,
seen
hey,
it in theaters. I wasn't able to go see it with you guys, and you guys have gushed all about it. But what do we have at number 9 and number 10 on Zach's list, and number 6 on yours? So it had to have been a good movie. You know, it's a 102-year-old remake.
Yeah, and it makes everything else that it did before, like the remakes that lived before this one, it makes those look like a box full of rainbows. So I saw that the extended cut is going to be on. Yeah, I saw that the release is going to be on Peacock, the extended release. So if you guys are watching, listening, go check it out on Peacock this Friday. So that's my number 6 is Nosferatu. Zach, number 6.
Number 6 for me. Am I buffering or anything like that?
Good.
Okay. Number 6, I guess we're going to do this again. We're going to stay in the horror genre. Number 6 is a film that, to me, the first one just messed with me so bad. I remember seeing that in the theater. I was just like, "What is this?" And I was really worried that A, it wasn't gonna follow it, and B, I just, based off the trailer, I really wasn't impressed with the story they're going to go with. But I saw it in the theater and it knocked out of the pack. Number 6 is Smile 2. I absolutely was blown away.
So I'm looking. That's a good thing to sit there here. That Smile 2 exceeds expectations.
Yeah, number 2 is way better than the first.
Yeah,
they got a hold of the premise and they made it structured better. So
yeah,
and the performances are unbelievable.
I know what Jack Nicholson's son's in the second one.
Yeah. I thought Naomi Scott was. She deserves a lot more credit than she got for this. I thought she was able. She played the role of not only being horrified by this presence that's following her, but also dealing with the trauma from her past and able to like balance that. I thought really was really well done. The horror sequences were excellent. It got me to jump a few times. Smile 3 is starting production later this year. I'm curious how they're going to follow this, but based off the ending of the movie. But yeah, I was really impressed with Smile 2. So that'd be my number 6.
Nice. Jay, finish us off. Number 6.
I'm going to go with the movie. We're a movie podcast here, right, guys? We talk about movies that we love, nostalgia. We talk about everything that just encapsulates movies and the movie experience. And there was one movie that was released in 2024 that kind of gave you that experience a little bit on the screen, and that was Kevin Smith's 4:30 movie. And the reason why I enjoyed this movie so well is because this was my youth. My youth was just going to the movie theater, seeing what shitty trailers were in front of a movie, be like, yeah, I'm gonna watch that when that comes out. I don't care. Nowadays, I'm a more cynical adult that's more like, I'll catch it when it's on Max. Damn kids, I'll catch. I'm that old fogey now. Back in the day. But this movie is a love letter to that time and experience of just sitting there going and watching a movie on the weekend, going with your buddy and theater hopping. My theater hopping buddy was my little brother. He was just a year younger than me, and so wherever I told him to go, we would go. And so I had me a little minion running around from the time I was like 8, 9 years old on until I was like 15, 16 years old. Sit there just drag around from theater to theater. And that's what this brought me back to. The nostalgia of just having that experience on a Saturday afternoon, going to the movie. You're going to go see one movie because it starts at this time, another movie because it starts at that time, and that's how this movie plays, which is very, very, very cool. Is that even the characters of the movie process out the timing of when one movie is and when another one's going to begin because they don't want to be caught by the security, and that's just like, oh my god, that was my theater experiences in the 90s or 2000s. That was me. That was it. That was like crazy. So the 4:30 movie by Kevin Smith, if you haven't seen it yet, you might not enjoy it too much, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. Nostalgia all the way when it comes to your movie going experiences, and it made me feel at home with that.
So it was a good one for sure, and it's only like an hour and a half. So
Yeah,
you're in it. So that's it, guys. That's 6 through 10. Next week, join us for the rest of the. I'm just messing with you.
Stay here. We have more. I promise.
Yeah, we have more, but let's get into some of our favorites from last year. We'll zoom right through these. I don't think we have to spend too much time on them unless you guys really want to. I'm gonna go. We're gonna start off with. I think I sent it to you guys. Favorite actress that we enjoyed watching last year. I'm just gonna go ahead and say. I'll shoot it right out there. Kaylee Spaney for her performance in Alien Romulus and Civil War. She was a joy to watch. It was hard to choose between her or Florence Pugh. So that was my favorite actress that I got to watch from last year. Zach?
I'll take the opposite side of the coin. My favorite actress is Florence Pugh.
And
Jay?
I have Kaylee Spaney as well, but I would have probably went with what's her name, Margaret Qualley.
Oh, from The Substance.
Yeah, like I said, I enjoyed the movie. I'm not saying the movie is good. I'm just saying that ending is like holy. It's like holy. What's going on here? But I did enjoy both their performances, and I had no idea that was Andy McDowell's daughter.
Favorite director from last year. It's kind of tough picking like a favorite director because last year had, so many different movies, but like your main top directors, the movies kind of felt like it was not. Even then, it felt like it wasn't really even their story. Like Dune Part 2, yeah, it was Denis Villeneuve, but it still didn't feel like it was his 100% project. Directors are different for me than last year. Zach, I don't know or even Jay, if you guys want to, talk about it for a little bit, we can. But to me, I feel like movies nowadays has such a hold by the production team and by the studio company that the director doesn't really have a say so anymore. And when they do, it's a movie.
Like with you guys with the A24.
And then when they do have a hold on the film, it's one of those movies that like 10 people watched.
Yeah. I think it's very much studio driven now, and there's always it's an agenda. Like we want to push this out essentially.
Yeah.
So
my favorite director, because he felt like he had a grasp on this movie and on this trilogy for the last 5 years, and that's Ty West. So Ty West was probably my favorite director from last year. So Zach?
My favorite director, because he understood the project, he understood what he was dealing with, and he took it back to basics. My favorite director is Fede Alvarez for Alien Romulus.
Very good choice. A very, very, very good choice. I agree with you on that a little bit. With my choice was that how do you keep the energy and the story going on for the third movie? And I thought that he even helped write this movie. Sean Levy with Deadpool Wolverine was that he's even doing Stranger Things, so he has his hand in everything. He does have his hand in everything, and it's just a very hard concept to come on to a third film in a franchise and make it good. And not only was Deadpool Wolverine good, it was a great film in my opinion. And that had a lot to do with the energy of the director.
Nice.
It's funny the director that did the Cheaper by the Dozen movies is doing Deadpool and Wolverine.
And Stranger Things.
And Real Steel. You remember that?
Oh, I love Real Steel.
Yeah. Underrated. I'm probably gonna get some flack for this because a lot of people. Everybody hated this movie last year, but to me, Joker 2 is underrated. I think the story that Todd Phillips put together for a sequel was a worthy story. I think even though they were trashed on, Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga, their chemistry together was great. The songs, even though they were just rehashings of their own versions of actual popular songs, Lady Gaga writing some new songs for this movie. I thought it was a pretty good musical. And I mean, it was only like an hour and 55 minutes, 2 hours. It didn't drag to me. I've seen this movie now 5 times last year. So I love the way it started. I love the way it ended. And I just think there's so many people hating on it that it didn't really get the love it should have got. So yeah, underrated for me is Joker 2. Zach, what about you?
My underrated movie was I'm really glad I got to see this in the theater. This was very much a throwback to a type of film that doesn't get made anymore. And I thought this was a great example of what those movies could be, or remind people of that genre of film. My overrated is Juror Number 2, the courtroom drama by Clint Eastwood. Nicholas Hoult gives a phenomenal performance. Toni Collette.
I need to see that stuff.
It's streaming on Max, so if you didn't get a chance to see it, you can watch it on Max. It's I mean, the trailer kind of gives what's going to happen, but it's very much the predicament of what would I do in that situation, and it really plays with every different scenario as the movie goes on. And I thought it's a really well directed by Clint Eastwood, which the dude's almost 100 and still making movies. So what can you say?
Nice.
Good movies at that, right?
Do what?
Good movies at that, right?
Yeah.
Jay, what about you? Do you have
my underrated for the year is just because the time that we're sitting at with this weekend being the big 50th anniversary and everything. You figured that the movie Saturday Night would have made a little bit more, would have had a little bit more presence in the theaters than it did, but it really didn't. It pretty much was in theaters, out of theaters, and on home video, and within a month it seems like. And so that's where. After watching it, I have it as my number 10 on my list, and I thought it was a very good movie, very entertaining, and I think a lot of people missed out when they didn't see it in theaters.
Got to see that in the theater, and that was a fun experience.
nice? Let's go ahead and do one more, then we're going to go to some emails and tweets. Favorite animated movie from last year, from 2024. I didn't see a lot of animated movies. I only saw this twice, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. And that's Inside Out 2 for me. So, what about you, Zach?
My favorite animated movie was, as honorable mention, The Wild Robot. I thought it was beautifully animated. I'd really like to see this win Best Animated Movie at the Oscars, but
It won't.
we'll see. It had a great voice cast, great story. If you've ever read, it's based off a kid's book. I thought the kid's book is very mature for what it was trying to portray. Yeah, and it was one of the few movies this year I saw in 3D, and it was a great 3D experience.
I haven't seen a movie in 3D in forever.
Nice. Jay, favorite animated movie?
I've only seen one animated movie this year, and so my animated movie is going to be very slim pickings, and it's Inside Out 2. I haven't seen Moana 1 all the way through, so I can't sit there and go off and watch Moana 2. I do want to see Flow. I really do, but so far the only one I've seen is Inside Out 2.
Nice. I am now going to read some.
I'm going to go to the restroom real quick, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, go for it. I'm going to read some emails real quick. And again, if you guys want to send in some emails, it's CINEMEN 921@gmail.com. That's Cine-Men921@gmail.com. Or you guys can tweet us. Most of these are tweets and messages. The X is at Cine-Men405. Jose Maxon's favorite movie from last year, Deadpool and Wolverine. Kildare 1, Deadpool and Wolverine. Bryanak _313. His favorite movie from last year is Heretic. Air Bear 420, Deadpool and Wolverine. Francisco Santos, Deadpool Wolverine. Man, these are a lot of. Patricia Scott, Deadpool and Wolverine. Jim Scott, Deadpool and Wolverine. Carla, her favorite movie is Wicked from last year. Mark, Inside Out 2. Vader the Traitor, Wolverine and Deadpool. This was new. Brandon says his favorite movie from last year was Cuckoo. Zach, did you see Cuckoo?
No, I didn't get a chance to see that. You said it was pretty good.
Yeah, crazy movie. Kenny says his favorite movie from last year is Wicked. D.A. Darko says their favorite movie from last year was Longlegs. Did this come out? Stephen E. says his favorite movie was Godzilla and Kong.
Yeah, that came out March last year.
Wow. That's insane. I did not realize that came out this year.
That was also like Jay only did the top 5. It was like number 8 or 7 of the top highest grossing films of last year.
Oh wow.
What was?
Godzilla times Kong.
Oh yeah, I've heard it was. I didn't like it, but I heard
Oliver's Manor. Again, their favorite movie was Godzilla times Kong. Fluffy Dude 71. His favorite movie from last year is Venom: The Last Dance. Alan says his movie from last year is The Promised Land. Rodolfo, another one for Deadpool Wolverine. JVG, another one for Deadpool Wolverine. FKN Nobody says that their favorite movie from last year was Dune Part 2. Kristen, Deadpool and Wolverine, honorable mention, Dune Part 2. Brandy says her favorite movie from last year was Trap. Martin says his favorite movie was Deadpool and Wolverine, but he would like to do an honorable mention of Venom: The Last Dance. BGM, Deadpool Wolverine. Julie says her favorite movie from last year was Heretic. Prince 5967 says their favorite movie was Alien Romulus. We'll do one more. We'll do 3 more, and then we'll get back to our favorites from last year. Bill says his favorite movie is Fall Guy from last year. Young JR no, my bad. That's my Darian the Critic says his favorite movie was Deadpool Wolverine. And then Mr. M says his favorite movie from last year was Wild Robot.
Nice.
We have a lot of Deadpool Wolverines in there.
There's still a whole bunch to go through. So, where are we at? Favorite TV show from last year? I won't spend too much time on it. I only saw like a handful of TV shows from last year. But I'm going to pick American Prevail on Netflix. It's kind of a wild Western cowboys and Indians kind of takeover kind of TV show. It's only 8 episodes. Some episodes are 45 minutes. Then there's an hour episode in between. But Penguin was a close second. I still didn't get to finish Penguin though. So number 1 for me, and my favorite TV show is American Prevail. Zach?
Nice. I still need to see that one. My favorite TV show is The Penguin. Loved it. I thought it did such a great job of telling an individual story without you have to bring in Batman or Catwoman or anything like that. But it's so cool that it's still set in the Matt Reeves Batman universe. I thought it had 2 of the greatest performances, Colin Farrell and Christy Maloney.
She was
they were neck and neck in that show, and it was so cool to watch them go at it in the show, and it kept you guessing with each episode. And so, yeah, I really hope there's a season 2, but if not, hey, it's a great season of television. So,
Jay, favorite show?
I went with kind of 2 different ones, but I went with Creature Commandos and Penguin. Both of them DC properties, but both of them very good in my opinion. Penguin good for the reasons that Zach stated, and Creature Commando good because it gives us a new base to the DC animated or DC universe to be launched from. And it's a pretty good start, I thought.
And I'll say, as an honorable mention for TV show, the final episodes of Yellowstone. I thought it capped it off beautifully, and I'm excited to see what you think about the final episodes.
The prestigious Dog Crap of the Year award. You know,
I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna laugh if we all have the same movie.
Yeah, we do.
we don't. But honestly, the one I pick is Mickey's Mousetrap from last year. I had no desire once the movie kicked off. It was not even a decent watch. There was nothing I liked about it. The kills that were in the movie, there was no practical effects. There was, you're watching a horror movie to at least see one or two kills on screen. It didn't even have that. It would attempt to show you and then cut away. Terrible performances, very bad set design. Everything was just bad about it. Again, I wanted to see this movie to see some kills, and there were no kills in the movie. So Mickey's Mousetrap is my prestigious dog crap worst movie of the year. Zach?
This is a whole nother conversation, but this whole thing of like, let's take something that's now in the open, that's free of copyright, and we're just going to make horror movies of it. I'm tired of that. We need to stop that.
Well, the next one's supposed to be Popeye.
Yeah, I heard that. My golden turd movie of the year is a little film called Madam Web. I think this is one of the worst. I saw this in theaters, and that's probably a little bit on my. But I knew it was going to be bad, but it was way worse than I expected it to be. To be honest, Dakota Johnson, I truly think that she works better as like a secondary, like third casted actress. Honestly. The choices, the editing of the movie is so like I had to look away from the screen like several times because it's just so fastly cut, like horribly cut. And I don't understand why some of the choices of the movie, why it happens. Like, why is there spider people? Why is that a thing in the movie? And the fact that, they really tease in the trailer, they tease the idea that you're going to see, the group and their Spider Women outfit. That's like a 5-second scene.
Yeah, I was disappointed in that part for myself.
I don't understand why you hire Sydney Sweeney, who's arguably one of the most beautiful women in the world, to play this weird, awkward teen role. It doesn't work. Just really bad. And I think, to me, that pretty much sunk the Sony Spider-Man universe, and we don't need to go back to that. So that's my dog turd of the year movie. What about you, Jay?
My dog turd of the year is one that didn't need to be remade. It's one that I grew up with, and the original I enjoyed, and I liked the people that were being portrayed on screen, but the people being portrayed on screen here were unlikable. They were drug addict douchebags that had I could care less if they lived or died or become a crow or whatever. I really didn't care two shit less. But I'm going to have to say The Crow. The remake of The Crow was one of the worst things I've seen all year. And it's just for the simple fact that growing up with it, I guess I had a little bit more nostalgia built into it. But I've seen The Crow, City of Angels, and the others, and they're nowhere near as bad as this dog turd. And how do you make the characters of Alex and Shelley unlikable? That's where they were completely unlikable. They were drug addicts. They were just completely just kind of people. Like okay, they're dead. Good. It's probably better for everybody that they are.
Yeah, that was kind of weird because that's a whole nother topic conversation, and it honestly could be, I don't know. It feels like it could be an episode because of how bad it is. But then again, it's just like, is there people out there that really enjoyed this movie? So we'll see.
There was like the original had the soundtrack that helped out. This one, the soundtrack was horrible.
Best horror movie from last year. This one was almost a tie. but I have to go with Maxine. So, Zach?
My favorite horror movie was my number 6, Smile 2.
Jay?
My favorite horror film. We talked about this when we reviewed it. It's a horror film with psychological thriller, but I chose The Heretic because that's one of the few horror movies of the year that I've seen that I actually enjoyed it.
Speaking of horror movies, don't forget this Thursday, Friday the 14th comes back. February the 20th, this Thursday night, 8 p.m. Me and the guys will talk our top 5 favorite horror movies from 2024. I'm going to rewatch Maxine this week. Is it going to fit somewhere on that top 5 list? Or will I just leave it out completely? So go back, check out some horror movies, and visit us this Thursday, Facebook Live and Enos Wall Productions YouTube channel as we talk our top 5 favorite horror films from 2024. Overrated movie from last year. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Even though I gave it a 4 last week, I'm going to say Wicked. So overrated for
I'll
me.
agree with you there. That was an honorable mention on my list.
So Zach, overrated?
My honorable mention is going to be Challengers, the Zendaya tennis movie.
That threesome just didn't live up to it, did it?
It's not even so much that it's a movie that like it builds so much momentum, but to me it didn't really have a really great payoff, in my opinion.
See, I think the first 45 minutes of it, I just got bored with it.
I do think that Zendaya does give a very good performance, but
she should have got nominated.
Yeah, a lot of people were pissed off that she got snubbed for that role.
Yeah.
But to me,
we'll talk about it because I think that was I thought it was a good movie.
But to me, it was just, I don't know. Like once I left the theater, I was just kind of like, all right, that's what it is. So
yeah. Jay, you said you agree, or did you have your own?
That was one of my honorable mentions. I'll give it that. But my overrated of the year was because I seen so many people gushing over how it was the best horror movie of the year, and how Nicolas Cage's performance was the best of the year. And I'm just like, and it's Long Legs. I'm like, that movie was completely boring and forced. It's real close to getting the turd of the year award for my point of view. It was, but The Crow beat it out by a lot. But I thought Long Legs was just completely. Nicolas Cage's performance for one was just downright appalling. Like I said, whenever he started screaming and doing his little stick, all I could think about was him turning into the Ghost Rider. Oh God, no! I'm like, oh no, I'm done.
That's
Mommy. Mommy! Yeah, that whole scene in the car with Mommy, him screaming Mommy was just like, no.
So that means in the next category, he won't be your favorite actor then, right?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
My favorite actor, I'm going to go ahead and go with Sebastian Stan. His role for being like an elephant man kind of deformed guy in A Different Man, which I think he completely got snubbed. He got robbed. Somebody called the police. He should have been nominated for Best Actor in that movie. A Different Man is phenomenal, but he did get nominated for playing Donald Trump in The Apprentice. Apprentice is good, and he does play a very good, conniving, off-putting Donald Trump, but he should not have been nominated for that movie. I think there's some kind of yeah, it should be the other way around. But he does have 2 very good movies from this year, and they both. I don't know if it's ever been done, but if the Academy thinks he should have been nominated for playing Donald Trump in The Apprentice, then they should have also gave him some limelight for A Different Man. I don't know if a man's ever been nominated for 2 movies. I don't know if that works or how that works, but A Different Man is phenomenal, and it's because of his acting ability. Sebastian Stan has completely just stood out from the rest when it comes to the MCU. So that's my favorite actor from last year.
Nice.
If I had to say some small honorable mention, I'm not going to say it. I'll save it for later.
Okay.
Zach?
I kind of had a hard time with Best Actor, honestly. But I'm going to go with you could really make an argument that this is a supporting role, but if you really pay attention to the movie, he's really the main actor. My best actor is going to be David Johnson for Alien Romulus. I
Your
thought,
favorite actor?
yeah, favorite actor. I thought well, we talked about it in the episode. I thought he did a phenomenal job of playing Andy, the timid brother of Callie Spaney, but also the hyper vigilant android once he got the chip in his neck. I thought he did a phenomenal job of balancing that performance. And I mean, he and Callie Spaney drive that movie, and you really want nothing to happen to those two characters throughout that entire film. So and that's based off her performance and David Johnson's performance. So that's my favorite actor of the year.
My favorite actor of the year is it's just because don't get me wrong, his tag partner in the movie was funny, but this person actually grounded the movie and made it more successful, in my opinion. It was Hugh Jackman. I enjoyed just everything Hugh Jackman brought to the screen in Deadpool Wolverine. If this was going to be the last time he plays Wolverine, then he done it very well. It was a very good send. But if not, hell, I'm prepared till he's 90. Let's do it.
Well, and he also played a very wounded Wolverine, which I thought was a very interesting way of going about it.
He wasn't this macho badass that had saved the day. This was a Wolverine that had lost. This is the Wolverine that everybody he knew just died. So,
wow,
that's my actor.
Yep, great choice.
Favorite theater experience. And I think because of all the cosplay, because this is the only movie I went to last year that was completely sold out. And everywhere I looked, there was a character from the movie next to me, above me, below me. And the anticipation for a sequel that took this long. My favorite theater experience from last year was Beetlejuice. Like I said, the atmosphere, the cosplay, everybody was excited for this movie. So people were dressed up as Lydia, people were dressed up as Beetlejuice, people came dressed up as a couple together.
You're okay with Beetlejuice this Halloween.
And completely, they were both but the movie was just elbow to elbow. It's the only movie all of last year that was sold out for me. So, Beetlejuice is my favorite theater experience.
Nice. My favorite theater experience. I'm probably going to be cheating because it's the same movie, but it's a double dose of it, I guess you would say. I got the opportunity to see Twister and Twisters in the 4DX theater. That's the very definition of a roller coaster if I've ever seen close to being one. It was so much fun, and if you're going to pay money to go do that, that's a film you need to go see that. Go do that, and it is so much fun. You are jerked like 5 different ways to Sunday, and it's an absolute blast. I really hope that maybe one day, they'll do a throwback and they'll bring Twisters back in 4DX. And Johnny, you were there, but you had to leave. So
I was so close. I saw all the previews in 4DX, and it whips you around so hard and so fast. It was unbelievable.
But yeah, that was dude. That movie stayed. That Twister sold out like every single time. Like the next week, showtimes came out. It was sold out like within like minutes. Like that's how much demand there was for that.
Insane.
So,
I had only one theater experience this year, which is weird. I need to go to the theater more. I sit there talking about it. I pride myself on all these movies I used to see back when I was a kid in theaters. But as I've gotten older, I don't go to the theaters that much because it's not the same experience in my opinion, and two, is the price is very much a factor in the situation. But I've only seen Gladiator 2 in theaters this year. And it was an all right experience. It wasn't, one of the best. It was one of the worst. It was just, it was a good experience. There was nothing hardcore going on. It was just a relaxed evening, showing up, having a couple cigarettes, going in there, smoke a little bit of weed while watching Gladiator. I don't know if anybody noticed that I was hitting my big pen while watching the movie, but I was enjoying myself that way. I enjoyed the movie for what it was. but the reasons I stated, having a couple cigarettes, smoking my vape pen, and just having to go to the restroom every now and then. That's what makes the movie going experience, because I've gotten older, just a little bit more mentoring. If I
All right, I think that's it for like our favorites. Um, now it's time to get.
Are we in our top 5 now? Our top 5 favorite
We
movies of the year?
we are in our final 5. This is what we
I
came
need to
here
go
to
get a
do.
drink from this real quick. Okay,
You got to. So
I'll be right back.
yeah, we are in our final 5. Let's get ready and talk about our top 5 movies of 2024. Man, it is here. It is our top 5 movies from last year. Zach, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Before we get started and we go through our final 5 of last year, I want to play this clip because I found it, and this is from Throwback. Like, this is from years ago, Zach. This is from you, me, and Edward when we were all in the same room,
Oh, no.
and Edward was saying something kind of foul. I couldn't really catch it in my ear, but it's only an 11-second clip. But I'm gonna play it because it's funny. At the beginning of the episode, you guys got to see how we all started, the graphics of our favorite top 5 movies, all the way back to like 2019, 2020. So this is a fun little clip that I'm gonna play, and let's see if we can listen and see what Ed was saying in this clip.
Shaking her so hard, the noises that she made, you would have thought she was still alive.
Check.
Wow. That is a throwback.
I haven't seen that before, but it sounds like he's sitting there saying something about that she wasn't alive and that something shaking her alive. What?
It was some kind of clip, and only Ed can find it. But yeah, that's how we used to record the podcast back in the day. I would set up all the equipment. Zach and Ed, and sometimes Craig would come over. We'd put the headsets on. We'd plug in the jack, and we would just sit there like it was a book club, kind of like we do now, but in person, and talk movies, man.
We should have one of those in person relatively soon.
So it was.
Wow.
I'd have to dig out all the equipment, but yeah, that's how we used to say. Let's see again, just real quick.
Shaking her so hard, the noises that she made, you would have thought she was still alive.
Check. The look on Zach's
I was shaking her.
face.
I was shaking her so hard, the look on her face couldn't tell she was alive. Well, I think that's what he said. What was your number 5 there, Juan?
We haven't done it yet.
We haven't got there yet. Okay.
No, but
Okay,
I
good.
found that clip. I found that clip earlier, and I was like, let me play it. It'll give some of the listeners and the viewers out there how we used to sit and talk movies. But man, this is it. Number 5, Twisters.
All right.
I think this movie is the definition of what a good sequel should be.
Agreed.
You don't need that many callbacks to the original. You just need a good story. The CGI was good. The camera shot was beautiful. The only nostalgia part you need for this movie was going to the state of Oklahoma and filming in some of those maybe same wide shot locations. I thought the cinematography was outstanding. The colors, the characters were fun. Glenn Powell. If you didn't know him before this, then this is his introduction to you. Then just sit back and grab popcorn because he is an outstanding actor. I still liked him better in Top Gun Maverick, but he takes this movie. This is his movie. However you want to put it, he is the main star. He is the actor in this movie, and I think he doesn't drop the ball. And I can't wait to see him in some other stuff. I was really worried about going into this movie. I saw this movie twice in the theaters, and the rewatchability. I've seen it twice at home, and the rewatchability is it's still fun and it's still rowdy the second, the third time you get to see it. I don't have any issues with it as far as really anything at all. The CGI for a movie that was going to be heavily favored with CGI, they did phenomenal. And this is just like Top Gun Maverick. You wait this long to do a sequel, this is how it should be done. There shouldn't be goofy, campy acting. There shouldn't be goofy, campy stories or comedy. It's just an all-out good time at the movie theater, and it was a good time watching it at home too. So, number 5 is Twisters. Zach?
Nice. Very nice. Number 5 for me is a film I think all of us really enjoyed, and I hope it gets farther up the list as we go. Number 5, Alien Romulus. Loved it. Everything you said, Jay. It's an alien movie that we have probably deserved. This is the film that we've
30
been
years.
yeah since Aliens, probably, truth be known.
Oh yeah.
Callie Spaney, David Johnson, the visual effects, the fact that we went back to like practical makeup and practical effects was awesome. There was like 5 different sequences alone that we could just sit and talk about how they did it. And there's a Jay, there's like a bunch of special features on the Blu-ray. If you get a chance to watch it, you'll probably enjoy it. And like I said, Fede Alvarez knew the assignment. And with guidance from Ridley Scott as executive producer, I thought it was a phenomenal film. And Johnny, we got to see that in IMAX, and it was a great experience.
You guys suck, actually.
Phenomenal.
So that's my number 5.
Jay, number 5.
My number 5. This is when we start to get to a little bit of movies that, like I said, movies that I found good, repeat quality, just ways to entertain me over and over again. I only seen one movie in theaters, and that was Gladiator 2. But this movie I watched while it was in theaters like 4 times, and it was Beetlejuice. I grew up with the original Beetlejuice, and I thought Beetlejuice 2 coming in, Beetlejuice was, it played right into my hand. I enjoyed every minute of it. That's probably why I've seen it 4 times already. I probably will see it again within the next couple of weeks. I'm not even going to play.
Number 4 for me. All these movies too. If we're going off the Richter scale, if we're going off by Letterboxd ranking, these are all 5 stars for me. So if you guys want to follow again, follow on the Instagram, which is all just one word, and that's Cine-Men Movie Podcast. So, number 4 for me is going to be Gladiator 2. Man, I thought this is another movie where the sequel, you don't need to go back and rewatch the original. It pays its homage to the original. You don't have to sit there and I gotta catch myself up. You don't. And the performances from everybody, including one Denzel Washington, who almost made my favorite actor from last year. He's such a villain in this movie, and he's so powerful. He just grabs this movie by the throat, and he just shakes it until he makes it his movie. So yeah, number 4 for me is Gladiator 2. We did a whole episode on it.
Nice. No Oscar nomination, by the way, which I want names. Number 4 for me. Sorry, Jay. I got to be honest. Number 4 is Long Legs. It was. I think the thing that really drove it for me was the theater experience. Just in a dark room, the surround sound. I know you don't like Nicolas Cage's performance, but I think if Cage is gonna go out, let him go all out. And I think this is the type of movie that he does well in. I thought Micaiah Monroe did a very good performance. She almost made my favorite actress of the year award. And it was a throwback. It was kind of a throwback to Silence of the Lambs with the devil, essentially. It just stuck with me since I saw it in the summertime. So that's my number. Long Legs is number 4.
Number 4, Jay.
My number 4 was a look inside of ourselves of different emotions. probably already know where I'm going with this.
Mm.
But I've never seen a movie sit there and encapsulate anxiety like I have with this movie. Like this is pure on anxiety to 100%. I suffer from chronic anxiety. Like I take one of the most powerful stimulants you can take for anxiety twice a day, and I was like, oh my god, they finally did all, and it's Inside Out too. And I found myself. I've only seen it twice now, but the two times I have seen it has left me just kind of like, wow, how without getting too personal with your feelings on how they're able to open up on how feelings and personal beliefs and all these things work on a core level, if that makes sense. And that's how Inside Out 2 was presented to me, was just here's feelings as you're going through puberty. And even as an adult, I still feel those feelings. And some of those feelings I feel them to more of an extreme extent because I have gotten older. My body has started to wear out. You know, I could see it making an Inside Out 3 when she's in her mid 30s, has a kid of her own, and, you know, Riley's going through fucking menopause. And, you know, I could see that movie happening. But this movie really stuck with me just because of the performances alone and how each personal personification of personality was presented. And I enjoyed that.
Nice.
That's my number 4.
Top 3.
Top 3.
Top 3. I was gonna sit there and be all cliche and be like, you know what, these movies, 3 can be 1 at one point, 2 can be 1 at one point, but that's not the case. If there was anything I was super serious on, that is, nope, this is 3, 2, 1, and this is exactly how it's gonna be. I have not been this excited to talk about my number 1 since The Batman. Or since Top Gun Maverick. So, but number 3 for me is, I talked about him a little bit earlier with Ty West. Number 3 is Maxine. It was such a beautiful story. I know that's hard to say in a horror movie, but it was such a beautiful ending to his trilogy where he takes this character who was adapted by Pearl's character, who lived on through X, and then she finished her life story in Maxine. It's just, man, if you just look at it in between the lines and you don't go in there and you're like, oh, it's a horror movie and there's blood and gore and stuff that, that's true. That's what's in there. But the thing I love about Ty West's trilogy is the telling of a certain individual who she's not supposed to make it. She's not supposed to be a star. She's not supposed to be who she is. Did she, did she do it the right way to get to the top? Probably not. She turned a lot of heads. She kicked a lot of people while they were down. But the way he takes this horror trilogy and ends it with Maxine is a really good story, and it's a really good movie if you're wanting to just sit back and watch a character develop. And you don't see that a lot anymore in any movies, let alone a horror movie. So that being said, number 3 for me is Maxine.
Nice.
So Zach, number 3.
My number 3 was my most anticipated of the year. If you feel it, chase it. Number 3 is Twisters. You probably thought it was going to be my number 1 of the year.
I did.
Man, I think the thing that I really appreciate the most about this movie is, like you said, it was a very worthy spiritual sequel to the original. It's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be meteorologists chasing tornadoes. There's no global warming message or any political message we're trying to do with this movie. It's a great old-time fashion.
Here's a tornado, let's chase it.
Exactly. It's exactly what it's supposed to be, and you have a blast watching it. Daisy,
I'm not trying to piggyback off of you, but that's my number 3 as well. So
nice. Awesome.
We just talk about it together. So
Daisy Edgar Jones, like you said, Glenn Powell. I thought he had an awesome year. Anthony Ramos, the visual effects. I'm going to take it a step further. I think there were a lot of references to Twister, but it wasn't like in your face. It's just like, oh, she's wearing the same coat. Oh, she's there's the Dorothy from the original film. It's
They still have pop cans on
yep.
them.
And speaking of, wow, I'll take this break to throw this in there since you said it was your most look forward to from last year. Next week, when we talk about Brave New World, we will rank our top 5 movies that we're most looking forward to 2025.
Yep.
So there's a top 5 next week already. If you guys want to play along, send in your email. Next week, when we talk a Brave New World, we will rank our top 5 movies that we're most looking forward to for 2025. So,
Awesome.
Jay, do you have anything you want to throw in there for Twisters too? Or are you guys still talking?
It was just, I just walked in there not expecting much of anything, and being completely blown away. No pun intended. I was blown away by everything in the movie.
It was way better than it deserved to be. I'll say that.
Am I right? Right. It was real close to becoming number 2 on my list, but being number 3, my cousin, or our cousin, doesn't like to go see movies in theaters very often. And the last movie he seen was probably like 5 or 10 years ago in theaters. But he made a point to go see Twisters. If that tells you what type of audience this was bringing into theaters, people that don't go to the theater at all. This was people that wanted to see a movie, and you said you seen it in 40X, and I'm jealous of that. Completely jealous of that.
I saw it like, dude, this is it's been a while since I've done this. I saw it like 4 times. I saw it in IMAX. I saw it in the balcony at the Warren. I saw it in the Screen X down in Norman. And I saw it 40X, and I agree with you, Johnny. It gets better with each rewatch.
I've enjoyed it every time I've watched it, especially when they get to the rodeo. From that point on, that point on, the movie is just pure adrenaline rush. And the craziest thing about that the movie, is that I used to live in the town that the girl used to live in, Sepulpa.
Mm-hmm.
I used to live there, and Johnny could confirm this because he's dropped me off there before. I used to live in Sepulpa. Did I or did I not, sir?
Yeah, and then the El Reno scene at the end was just action packed. So
and like I said,
it all takes place in a movie theater.
It does, yeah. I'm really glad that looking back on this year that wasn't. I was really worried that
it could have been really bad.
Huh?
It could have been really bad.
It could have been horrible, and it could have been our worst of the year. And I'm so glad that all of us had it in our top 5. So, number 2.
Two of us had it in our top 3s. Okay.
Yep, it's still there. Number 2, you guys know I'm a huge A24 fan. I love when a movie can just sit there and just through the score put you through anxiety, like something like Uncut Gems. Number 2 for me is Saturday Night.
Nice.
I was glued to the television this entire time I watched it. I only have the one watch, so I don't. Again, this list is based off of rewatchability, but not one movie at home this year, besides 2 other watches or 2 other movies, but not a movie at home has led me to just stare at the screen. I didn't pick up my phone. I didn't play on it for a little bit like I normally do.
I wanted to know what was happening every moment of the movie. Yes, that was me. I put my phone down, put it on its charger, and left it alone.
Every single time every single minute this movie was on, Saturday Night just had me by the horns. I was sitting there watching it. The performances, even though it's not a big name cast, the actors do right and do well by the character.
It's spot on.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Even though they're giving some of the guys are giving a couple scenes, like the person that plays Jane Kirk, she's given a couple scenes, but those 2 scenes that she's in are brilliant, and they're absolutely memorable.
Yeah, the guy who plays Dan Aykroyd is spot on. I really enjoyed
those short shorts.
Even though you don't really get the vibe of Billy Crystal through the actor that plays him, you feel bad for Billy Crystal in general just because he got cut and he was so sure that he was going to be on. I think it's a movie that we might have to talk about a little bit later on this year, especially with it being the 50th anniversary of the actual show. So that's my number. That's my number 2. I cannot praise this movie enough. It's on Netflix. Go check it out. Saturday Night.
Live from New York. It's Saturday night.
Yeah, it was a great watch. So go check it out. That's my number 2.
Those are the moments we're waiting on, right?
Yeah.
All right, I need to rewatch it. I'm probably gonna have to do that sometime this week.
Zach?
My number 2. Crazy enough, it's almost been a damn year since it almost came out in theaters. Number two for me is Dune Part 2. Loved it. I think it was a awesome continuation, but also a final chapter, I guess you would say, in that, at least the main Dune storyline. It's such a beautiful film, honestly. Like it, everywhere they shot, it's spot on. The visuals are incredible. The performances are incredible. Denis Villeneuve, uh, yeah, he had for a book that is almost, a lot of people would say was unfilmable. He was able to pull it off, and not only that, you got 3 additions to the cast: Florence Pugh, Austin Butler, Christopher Walken. It was a great time, and I'm so glad that this movie not only did well, but like people are interested in this world, and it feels so genuine and real.
Messiah.
Do what?
We're getting a third one, Messiah, right?
Yeah, Messiah. I think they're gonna start filming Messiah maybe next year, maybe. So, but Dune Part 2 is it's excellent. Go check it out on Max.
That's insane. Dune Part 2, man, I didn't have it anywhere.
I didn't either.
That's a movie that got left off. I'm just that's to me that's just how good of a year film was last year for me. So, Jay, number 2.
I only had one problem with this movie, and my one problem was what started the fucking or what? Sorry, I know we're supposed to be keeping this a little bit more PG. I'm sorry, I apologize, my listeners out there, but I wanted to know what the buildup was that led to the problem being at hand, and that's Civil War. That was number 2 here, was Civil War. Edward probably wouldn't have liked it, but hey, I look like this. My only problem with the entire movie is what caused it, what led us to where we were, and what we caught up with it. Other than that, I had a great time with that movie. Candy Spaney was real good in the movie. Kirsten Dunst was real good in the movie. You know, I just had fun with that movie. I've seen it 3 times now. And every time I've watched it, I found something new. I've seen something new. And hopefully by the time I've watched it a 4th or 5th time, I'll finally catch on the reason why they had the Civil War. It was always been there in front of my face the entire time. I just hadn't been paying attention. But
well, let me tell you why that's my number 1. Number 1 for me is Civil War. And I think with all the different times of watching this movie, I think that's what I enjoy the most about Civil War. Huh?
The ambiguity?
Yeah. That's what I enjoy so much about it is you don't find out right off the bat why or what or when. You're set in the middle of it, actually towards the end of this story, and you're just given the world of journalism and journalists during a post Civil War, pre what's about to happen. And throughout the movie, they lay comments and suggestions of maybe why or maybe how come or the president or the president forced his third term. Like that's
I remember them saying that California and Texas succeeded, but other than that, I don't remember
right.
All too much.
Like to me, it just doesn't need a backstory. And the real, the director even says throughout all the. I mean, there's not that many.
Well, I haven't watched special features, but I need to see those.
Well, I mean, there's not that many special features. Okay. They're all on YouTube. But the thing that's irritating, or the thing that's like fresh, if you will, about this whole story, is that the president is. Or the director kind of gives you the limelight and gives you the choice to, hey, is it oil? Was it cash? Was it the president? Who was either in or office before? Yeah, like he kind of lets you be the dictator for why, where, and when. And to me, that
I just don't think there's enough information to be given a specific thing that.
I don't think you need the information though.
I honestly think you need it just to have it more. Not saying it's superior. When you sit there and talk about a second Civil War, you kind of need the reason why that second Civil War is being fought. I mean, the original one fought over slavery.
Yeah, but if you look at the movie and say, okay, I see that the movie is called Civil War, but I think this movie would probably have a lot more people understand if the movie was just called Road Trip or
You can still
Travel
call it Civil War,
or
but give us
Travel
more.
something. Yeah, but
We
if
can
you
still
call
call
it if you call it Civil War, then you're going to have people that are like, I need to know why. I need to know
That's
why
the
we're in
point.
a civil war.
Because
When
that's
the
the
whole
whole point of the Civil War is to know.
yeah, but the whole point of this story is
But that's what we
the
can build upon. I'm always
is
about building upon.
is the journalism between Kristen Dunst's character,
And
uh,
Candace Whitney.
Kaylee Spaney.
Because it's a competition between the two of them who can get the better story, right? That's the way I always see it.
Well, no, it's not really a competition because she's joining them for just the tag along. If any if anybody if anybody's really in competition, it was supposed to be the older guy in the movie. Because he works for the rival he works for the rival paper.
Oh, Stephen Henderson.
Stephen Henderson.
Sammy.
Yeah, Sammy is technically the competition, but he's like, I'm this old. Do you really think I'm going to survive and make it on my own? No,
This is where I need to go.
yeah, exactly. And see, that's what makes this movie so good to me is a year later, we're still talking the why, the whats, the hows. Not to mention the
play
great
the scenarios in our head. What caused it, what did.
Not to mention the great performances by Wagner Moura as Joel, Kristen Dunst. This is her first movie in years. She comes back and kills it.
I'm not going to sit there and say this, but Homegirl looks older in this movie.
Kaylee Spaney is perfect. Nick Offerman as the president. You're just like, really, Nick Offerman? And it's written and directed by Alex Garland. So that's my number one for the year. So
look how my number 2 turns into your number 1, and
it caused the Civil War here on the show.
We're not even that close. I won't fight you yet, brother. Now it depends on how we rank our number 1, but
Zach, now you guys finish it off now. Number 1.
Well, Zach, finish it off with a free.
He has another movie coming out later this year, Warfare, which
better be taking place in that damn Civil War.
But I do agree with you. I think Civil War. I think that's going to be a movie years from now. It's still going to be debated about why people love it and why people hate it. So my number 1 is I saw this back in the summertime, and I really debated whether it was going. I knew it was going to be my top 5, but I just didn't think it would be number 1, truthfully. But it really stuck. Luckily I was able to see this in theaters. It was only in theaters for a week and a half, truthfully. It's a little movie called Young Woman in the Sea. It's with Daisy Ridley, and it's about the true story of the first woman who swam the English Channel. It's currently on Disney Plus. I think this is I think the thing that I love the most about it is that it was a throwback to the Disney sports movies, like
the old school, inspirational sports movies. Yeah.
Remember the Titans, Miracle. Yep. I thought Daisy Ridley's performance was excellent. I think this movie shows she's more than just Rey from Star Wars. Do what?
I said it's about time.
Yeah. I think this is a film that I think as time goes, I think more people will come to see it and appreciate it. And like I said, it was I think it came out the week after Furiosa and then the week before Bad Boys for Life. And so like I said, it really didn't stand a chance. Luckily I got to see it in a theater showing.
I remember seeing the trailers for it. It did look pretty good.
Yeah. Everyone I've told this to, they went and saw it and they said they loved it. So
what was it called?
Young Woman in the Sea.
Oh, nice.
And you said it's on Disney Plus. I don't have a way to watch anything on Disney Plus, but I have another way to watch stuff on there on Disney Plus. And I will definitely be giving this a check out. Your number 1 is a woman. Say it again.
Young Woman in the Sea.
Young Woman in the Sea.
Nice.
So yeah, go check that out. And that just stuck with me from the time I saw it at the end of May till now, till we do this episode. So I'm kind of glad it did. Finish it off, Jay. What's your number one movie of 2024?
Oh my! I hate to be the final guy here, but it was one of those movies that lived up to the hype. It was one of those movies that it was really a toss between this and Twisters. Like seriously, I had so much fun with both of them, but I've seen them so many times. But I remember opening weekend seeing this movie. I didn't get to be on the podcast with you guys for some reason. I think my internet was down or something like that. But for some reason, I wasn't able to be on the podcast for this episode, which I was very disappointed in. But I am choosing Deadpool and Wolverine as my number one. For the simple fact is, it's one of those ones that you can just go back and rewatch it numerous times, and it has the rewatchability factor. It just has one of those. It's funny. It's not one of those. It is a $1 billion movie, but it was one of those ones that it lived up to the hype. It didn't overhype. It didn't underhype. It lived up to that hype because usually with the third film in a series, that third film bombs, and it's usually just terrible. But in this case, there was a lot at stake in this third film, and just with the Madonna score of Hugh Jackman's pecs being shown, how is that not funny? So the entire film, I just had a lot of fun with Deadpool Wolverine. Like I said, I remember opening weekend sending Johnny a screenshot of me watching it on my laptop. I know, yeah, I watched it on my laptop. That's the best place to watch it. But I watched it on my laptop opening weekend, and I sent it to him on a Thursday. When it opened on Friday, I was like, "Hey man, look what I've already watched." He's like, "How?" It's like, "How the hell are you already watching that?" I was like, "Dude, somebody posted one already." And I was like, "Dude, but just great, really great movie." This movie could have went wrong in so many different areas, and it stayed straight, true the entire time. That's my whole conversation about Deadpool and Wolverine.
Nice. That's it, guys.
Yeah, that was pretty. That was a different top five and a unique. Everybody had a different, unique one through five. So that's pretty good. I want to hear everybody else's. Continue to send them. Let us know what some of your top five or top favorites are. Don't forget next week when we discuss for our next episode. Next Monday, we're talking Captain America: Brave New World. We're going to be ranking our top five. What we're most looking forward to for 2025. So that should be a fun list to dive down into.
Most anticipated
Captain America: Brave New World. It's gonna be super super interesting to hear all of our thoughts on this movie next week. But guys, before we get out of here, is there anything that you guys want to mention before we move on?
I'd like to tell people, don't be like Jay and only see one movie in theaters this year. Go out and be like Zach and see everything you possibly can in theaters. Because I feel I let myself down after sitting there talking about that. And so they're saying that I only had one theater experience in 2024, and it was Gladiator 2. That was depressing and heartbreaking at the same damn time. There could have been so many better movies for me to be like that. That was my one I hitched my post to. But no, it was Gladiator 2. I'm not saying it was a bad movie. I'm just saying there could have been better ones that I could have seen in theaters, like Twister, Deadpool, Civil War.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
And something about the theater experience is, we talk about it all the time on the show, but I mean, something like either Twisters or Civil War, or Young Woman in the Sea, it could just be like a little film, or it could be a big film that could make huge impact on you for the rest of the year. And that's something that you'll remember the year by.
See, that's where I used to sit there and be so encapsulated by film back in my youth. I feel so damn old saying this, but back in my youth, I used to sit there and look at things. I wouldn't say as a pretentious way, but I'd sit there and I'd look at things through an aspect list of my life. How do those fit with my life? And that's how I assess a movie. Yeah. And if I enjoyed a movie, if it went through the prism of my believability, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a weird concept to understand, but everybody, I had a good time tonight talking our top 10, our favorites. Is there anything that's left from 2024 that you might actually want to check out before 2025 even it's over, or even if it gets to the 6 month mark that you haven't checked out yet.
Oh yeah, there's a crap ton that I still want to watch.
Yeah.
I didn't. There's a lot I didn't get through. There's a lot I didn't get to see in theaters. Could this list have changed if I got to go see something like The Brutalist or something else like that? Maybe, maybe not. But the movies that keep running and keep going into my mind, I think I saw those, and I enjoyed talking to you guys about them today.
There were
Um,
there were
but
three movies that I wouldn't mind seeing. Was Nosferatu, which you guys have seen, and you guys both enjoyed immensely. So that makes me sad that I missed out on that. Another called Night Bitch with what's her name?
oh, that's on Hulu. That's a Hulu
Amy.
exclusive.
But
I don't
Amy
think
Adams.
I don't think
Yes.
that was ever in theaters.
It
Yeah.
was in theaters, and then Fly Me to the Moon.
Oh yeah, Fly Me to the Moon. That was pretty good.
I like weird conspiracy theory little movies stuff like that. I think that would be a good little movie.
So, but yeah, we got a huge, huge year planned for you guys. Matthew McConaughey, more episodes about his movies are coming up. Tomorrow, don't forget, we're talking about the COVID WrestleMania on a new episode of Sports Breakers.
Tomorrow.
This Thursday, we're talking all about our top 5 favorite movies over on Friday, the 14th podcast. Top 5 horror movies 2 days from today on Thursday at 8 o'clock. Other than that, guys, that's it. We're on our,
2024. Woo!
we're on our way to the theater, and we're gonna go check out Brave New World. We're all three gonna be here to talk about it next Monday on a whole new episode, on a brand new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
Sorry, guys.